This is such a good name for something that involves real grief that people do encounter. In fact, I read a stat that says about 57% of anybody you run into is grieving. Grieving in a forward direction. May 15th at WBGL. It's a 3-hour thing in the morning. $20. It includes refreshments. It includes your materials. Don Follis is our leader, somebody that I'm thankful to count as a friend and somebody that I look up to in the world of things like counseling. And sometimes, even this morning, we've heard from people that are grieving. And we wanted to put this event on so that we can, like Don says in the title of this event, grieve in a forward direction. And Don, when you say that, it must mean that while there may not be any wrong ways to grieve, there must be more helpful, beneficial ways to grieve than others.
Sure, there are. I think that the most important part of grief is just to embrace it. I mean, the Apostle Paul says, mourn with those who mourn.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, blessed are those who mourn. And my own story got me smack right in the middle of grieving about 10 years ago when I lost my son. And I had to really face it. And facing it led eventually to me doing this seminar, Grieving in a Forward Direction. And what I came to realize is that if you face your grief, whatever kind it is, that if you handle it honestly and you look at all those things that come down on you, you can live a full life. You can move on and do it.
Even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment.
Even though it doesn't feel like it in the moment.
Don and I were having lunch, and he told me that he does a grief seminar, which I was very interested in because I currently am dealing with the loss of my dad that took place in September. And I wanted to attend his grief seminar. And I said, well, Don, where's the next one that you're doing? And he said, well, we're setting them up. I said, well, let's do one, because I just wanted to attend myself. And we can have up to 50 people join us here in the WBGL warehouse space. If you text the word seminar to 866-917-9245, you'll get details. It's $20. It's the morning of May 15th. It's also at our website. But so what will we actually do that morning, Don?
We'll look at all the barriers to keep people from grieving well. I'm not going to fix you that morning. You're not going to get fixed. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I'm going to be honest with you, and I want you to be honest with yourself. I'm going to accept you where you are. I think you'll be able to accept me where I am. And I think what's going to happen is that you're going to be able to embrace grief in a way that you maybe never have before. And boy, are people grieving with this pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I really encourage you to come. I think you'll experience some things you've never experienced in your life.
May 15th at WBGL, this grief seminar for about 3 hours in the morning. There will be coffee and tea. Don Follis is our leader, and it's called Grieving in a Forward Direction. We've heard from people this morning grieving, even like somebody didn't give their name, but they just talked about, grieving the loss of a child from 3 years ago, and this person just shared, I'm not grieving well. And that's a reason why this seminar needs to take place. So if you want details, text seminar to 866-917-9245. So, Don, you talk about barriers that, make it so we don't grieve well, and you're helping us overcome those. What's an example of one of those?
I think one of the key barriers that I see it in my own life and I see it in the lives of other people, is that just telling people I'm fine. Huh. I just don't admit my true emotions.
Denial.
I'm just fine, yeah. I'm okay. Don't worry. And in this seminar, we're gonna put the tire right down the road, and we're gonna really talk about real feelings. Nobody's gonna be just fine at the end of the day, but I think you're gonna feel really well.
Now, let me ask you this. Maybe it would feel uncomfortable to attend something like this. Are you going to put me on stage and make me share my story? How comfortable do people feel at something like this?
Oh, I think you'll be really comfortable. I'm going to be honest with you, but I'm not going to try to fix you. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I'm not going to create a time frame for you. I'm just going to be honest with you, and I'm going to accept you where you are. I'd really encourage you to come. I think you'll feel very comfortable.
I got to tell you, I'm going to be thinking about that song this afternoon, when I'm at my dad's grave. I don't want to get real dark about this, but my dad passed away in September, and I didn't know how all this stuff works. But, when that happens, you order the headstone, and then it goes into winter, and they don't install those things in the wintertime around here, so you have to wait. And now here we are on April 16th, and I finally get to go see the memorial there today with my sister, and I'm honestly really looking forward to that. We are going to grieve there in that place because we feel like Dad was gone too soon. But at the same time, we're thankful that we believe that he's with Jesus at this moment. Don Follis is with us. He's actually going to put on a seminar for us about this idea of grief, May 15th, right here at the WBGL facilities. We can host up to 50 people for Don's grief seminar called Grieving in a Forward Direction. We'll tell you how you can get details in a minute. It's $20. But Don, give us a moment about that for those of us who have lost loved ones who we believe were lovers and followers of Jesus. I mean, a little bit of the hope that we truly can have, even though sometimes we talk ourselves out of it.
Right, Jesus said, I'm the resurrection and the life, and it's true. He is living, he is the Lord of the universe, and we and our loved ones will be together with him forever in a new life. But now we're still living on this earth. We are mortals, and we grieve. Mortals grieve because this world is not our home. And the Apostle Paul says, we eagerly await our citizenship in heaven, knowing this is not our home. We do have a true home, but not yet.
Boy, I'm thankful for the fact that we do have a true home. It is painful. That's why we have a resource here, and it is a live event that we're having at WBGL. It's capped at 50 people. Many tickets have already been sold since they went on sale at 6 o'clock this morning, but Don Follis is leading us toward this thing called Grieving in a Forward Direction. So this is something that you do it's about 3 hours long, right?
Right, about 3 hours.
And what would somebody expect when they show up to this? You sit down, you get the free cup of coffee, maybe they got some papers in front of them, they look up, you're on the stage, and what kind of things are you going to be saying?
I think I'll tell my story. I'm not going to try to fix anybody. I'm going to talk about the emotions of grief. I'm going to talk about how Jesus was a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief. I mean, I really believe that one of the first steps to really living a full life is to stop running from grief. I mean, Jesus wasn't afraid of it, and we don't have to be afraid of it either. And, people often say, oh, don't worry about me, I'm just fine. Look, nobody's fine. I will tell my story of losing my son. Believe me, I am not fine.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, I'm going to talk to you about stepping into a new normal.